Hi everyone, welcome to this class. This is a quick psoas rinse. Rinse as in rinse and repeat, because this is a class that you can repeat again and again to help with your psoas. So the psoas, which I am very evangelical about, so if you've been around here for any time, you will have heard this spiel, but if you're new to the psoas, they're these two great big meaty muscles that sit on either side of the lower spine. And then they actually curve around the body. They tuck through the pelvis and they attach to the inside of the femur, the inside of the thigh bone. So at the back, they're these big stabilizing muscles for the spine, but at the front, they're actually your hip flexor that allows you to extend and draw in your leg. And this is one of the reasons why hip pain and low back pain, or hip tightness and low back tightness or weakness, often go together, because it's about the psoas. But the other thing that's really interesting about the psoas is that they have a lot of sympathetic nerve endings in them. So your sympathetic branch of your nervous system is your activation branch. It's your fight and your flight. Anything where you have to move quickly or react fast, that's your sympathetic activation. It's that whoosh of energy. And there's loads of these sympathetic nerve endings in your psoas muscles, because anytime you have to react and move quickly, you need the psoas to tense and brace so that you can move your legs and run fast, right? But we also get that activation whenever we have to react quickly to something, even if we're not moving. So if you have a desk job and you're constantly reacting to emails and having to think on your feet and react all the time, your psoas will still be tensing and tensing and tensing, ready to take action in response to your nervous system, but you're not actually stretching and moving your psoas. And when that happens, that's when we start to get a lot of tension and pain in the low back and in the hips, because the psoas becomes kind of dry and underhydrated. And that's when you then start to get those lower back pains. So I'll stop talking now, because otherwise the whole video will always be a TED talk about the psoas. But this is great if you are someone who moves a lot and just wants to support your psoas, but is also particularly great if you're someone who sits all day at a desk or has a kind of high stress job, or say a caring role. With that in mind, let's come down onto our right hand side. You could stretch out your arm to support yourself, or you might want to make a little pillow, see what feels comfy, and bring your knees in. And we're thinking about having our hips stacked one on top of the other, just nice and comfortable. And you can use your left arm for a bit of stability, or you could even pop a block underneath your head and bring your right arm out in front of you. So the most important thing is start comfortable. And then we're going to lift this top leg and just extend it long and slightly back behind you, so that you start to feel that stretch at the front of the hip. And then bring the knee in towards the chest. You can use your hand to draw it in and curl a little bit. So your tailbone is tucking under and your spine is a little bit curved. So you're getting a stretch through the low back. So we'll move through that a few times, stretching the front of the psoas and then stretching the back of the psoas. And you don't have to over exaggerate this. You could just draw the knee in and tuck the tailbone a little bit. And if you want, you can also, as you bring the knee in, now plant the foot and bring that knee pointing up towards the ceiling and press it away a little bit. And as you do that, tuck the tailbone so that you get a little bit more of a stretch into the front of that hip and into the low back. And then release that, and again, extend it long, let it drift behind you. Just do a couple more. And then bring the leg behind you, and you can just kind of hover it there if you want. And then we'll press up to leaving that leg where it is and bringing both your hands into maybe like a sphinx shape and looking down towards the ground. So the upper body is facing down, but that leg is drifting behind you. And take a really big breath here into this stretch through the side of your body. And maybe you turn your head and look back over that shoulder towards where the foot is. You might need to move it to get it into your peripheral vision, or you might just sense that it's there. Take another big breath. Let it go fully. You could bend the knee and step it even more behind you if you wanted. Last moment here. And then extend the leg long again. Bring the knees in, and we'll come to a tabletop, and just take a moment to notice the difference between the left and the right. And then we'll just cat-cow a couple of times, dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone, feeling that stretch at the front of the psoas, and then curving, pressing up. You're extending through the psoas. So there's your contraction, you're squeezing the muscle in, and there's your release and your extension. Let's just do one more. And then coming back to all fours, lift your left knee in as close as you can to your chest and step it through. And you're into your runner's lunge, or sometimes you're called equestrian pose. And you could just stay here for a moment, or you could press up and maybe draw that leg in a little bit and come up more to your 90-90. And you might tuck the tailbone a little bit here. And as you tuck the tailbone down, feel that glute on the right-hand side start to tense, and you'll start to feel a stretch through the front of the right hip. Maybe you lift an arm, nice and strong. Maybe you side bend, trying to make sure you're not going forward or back, but you're really going to the side so that you can feel that stretch at the front of the right hip. Come back up, and then we'll place the right hand down and turn into a twist towards the left. That left hip will draw back slightly. You'll feel that shift in the stretch in the low back, and you can open the left arm. Big breaths. Come forward again, back into that equestrian pose where the knee is tucked underneath your arm and you're kind of glued together. And you'll now be feeling that contraction at the front of the left hip. And then shift towards your half splits. Maybe you lift the toes and you'll get the stretch down the back. Moving through that a couple of times. Trying to keep your chest close to your thigh to make sure, I'll show you why, you can just carry on, but if you're kind of lifting away, then the vertebrae can do more of the work. Whereas if you're staying glued to your thigh, you're really getting the psoas to do the work. Let's come out of it, bring the knees together, press the tailbone back towards the heels, and again, a little tuck of the tailbone as you walk your hips back towards your heels, stretching the hams away. So even here, a big breath into this kidney shelf region underneath your ribs. And the psoas attached to the top, at the top, to your bottom rib. And so when you breathe with your diaphragm, you innervate through the psoas, so they move with the diaphragm. And then let's press up, and we'll come down and just repeat that sequence on the other side. Maybe checking in and seeing, how does that left side of the body feel? Just find your comfy position. Maybe your arms under your head. Maybe you've got a block or a cushion. Your knees are tucking up, nicely stacked on top of one another. And then that top leg will extend behind you. Find that nice stretch at the front. And then we'll come in and you can curl and stretch at the back. So this is such a nice little short, simple sequence to do in the middle of the day maybe, or after you finish work, before you go on and start moving around and doing other things, especially if you've had a bit of a reactive day. Maybe you've been racing, or you feel like you've been answering so many emails. If you like, you can start planting the foot here, push the knee away from you and tuck the tailbone, that little bit of a curve through the spine, getting into the front of the hip. Rehydrating the psoas, bringing fluid into it, blood flow, stretching and contracting it. Let's just take one more. And the leg will come just behind you. You might hover it off the ground and you can press your upper body into that sphinx-like shape. Looking down towards the ground, the leg is trailing behind you. Big breath into the side of the body. And maybe try looking back over that left shoulder, see if you can catch a glimpse of your foot or just kind of intuit where it is in space. Another big breath. And then you might lift and tuck that foot a little bit further behind you. Last big breath. And bring the knee back, and we'll come to all fours on this side. A few rounds of cat-cow again. Just repeating the sequence, nice and simple, but noticing if there's more mobility now through your spine, through your low back, a little bit more ease. And then coming back to the middle, we'll lift that right knee as close as you can to the body. That is your psoas working. And you can come to your equestrian. And you might just want to stay here and just hold this for a little bit. Or you can press up, come to more of that 90-90. And as you get up here, let's tuck the tailbone underneath. Feel that left glute engage and a stretch at the front of the left hip. The arm can reach to extend that sense of stretch. And then you've got your side bend to the right, keeping that engagement through the left hip. Breathe into the side body. And then the left hand can come down, turning your body to the right. So the hip will draw back a little bit. And you can open the right arm. And then we'll come forward back into our lunge here, gluing the thigh to the chest and moving backwards and forwards, nice and slow, just exploring the sensations. These kind of somatic practices, they're about being in the soma, in the body, not detaching from the movements, but sensing how they're making little changes in the body, what we like, what we don't like. Not trying to do exactly what the instructor's doing, but what feels right for you. Take a last breath here. Let it go. Your knee can come back, and again you can press back towards a child pose, tucking the tailbone, taking a big stretch into the low back. Use your breath to extend and stretch. tailbone drops towards the ground. Walk the hands back in. And come to take a seat. One last little stretch here. Bringing the left ankle or heel over the right knee. Don't worry if it ends up looking a little bit like this and it feels, like you can't get your knee down. You can just pop a prop in if that's the case. Or alternatively, just stagger your left shin in front of your right, okay? Whichever one feels a little bit more accessible, or you might be able to kind of wiggle into this square pose where, roughly speaking, feet and knees are stacked. And we'll start just by taking some circles with the upper body. Don't worry if your knees move around, but keep your sit bones down. And you'll start to feel a little bit of interesting movement and sensation as we're drawing on the psoas, pulling them in different directions, going in both ways. And come back to the middle, and we'll just turn away from our knee towards our foot. So we're lengthening through this left psoas. You can bring your left elbow into the sole of your right foot, of your left foot, or maybe it's just resting on your right knee. Make a fist with your left hand, press down on it with your right hand, and then use that to just traction a little bit of a twist. Don't worry about bringing your neck or your shoulders all the way around. We're pressing our left hip down and gently twisting and extending through that left psoas. Take a nice big breath into the diaphragm. We'll gently untwist and we can just take it to the other side. So right foot on left knee, or maybe you're staggering in front of one another. Maybe there's a prop in here if you feel like that would be more comfortable for you. And some circles first of all. Big diaphragmatic breaths all the way through. And you can come to stillness, and then we're going to turn right elbow into the sole of the right foot or just on the left knee. Make a fist, press down on it. Keep that right hip down as you traction a little bit more of a stretch and a twist. Great big breath, expand through the rib cage. And untwist and just release the legs and give them a little wiggle. And just see how your low back and your hips feel. This really nourishing, hydrating movement. One to repeat whenever you need it. Let me know how this practice has landed for you. Thank you for being here. I'll see you again soon.